Aloha everyone, we are back with the 7th series. We interviewed for you surf legend, world champion, surf photographers, shapers, and many more. We hope you like the series, and please stay tuned for more amazing news. Mahalo. Aloha! Welcome to the 20th and last episode of the 7th series of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today's guest from Hawaii is a legendary surfer, 2 times winner of Pipeline Masters. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rory Russell. He did this interview while standing directly in front of Pipeline and sitting outside the legendary Welcome House. We discussed with him about his surfboard, surfing Pipeline, surfers, and much more. Aloha, Mr. Russell. Welcome to the show. The first thing that I ask everybody at the beginning of the show is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
Having fun.
As simple
and
as that.
Persevering. You know, in the beginning, it was a lot different with no leg ropes. You know, and a lot of people got discouraged real easy. You know, and that's why there weren't that many surfers back then, because you know, sometimes the timing would be off and somebody would go out to try to learn how, and they just get pounded and have to swim to the beach because there's no leg ropes. And so there was a lot less. You really had to persevere, like paddling out of Lani Kea when it's 10 feet and getting caught inside before you even caught a wave, and having to swim to the beach before you even rode one, you know, or sunset, paddling out at sunset, getting caught inside, and just like, oh my God, all you can do is just charge it 15 feet of white water. You can't turn your back on it because you really get pounded. So you just got to do the wrap around your board and get pounded. Hopefully it doesn't get ripped out of your hands. And you don't have to swim all the way to the beach. You seen the lineup from sunset to the beach? That's not an easy little swim, you know, plus the turn and everything. So that's one thing, you know, that I learned back then was you got to charge. You got to keep getting on your board and paddling back out, man. I mean, swimming in 5 times in a row can get can build a lot of character.
No, definitely. And a lot of people got discouraged very easily. Of course, is
totally.
Yeah, you know.
Totally. Teaching surfing is what I really like to do now. And that saves a lot of people a lot of, you know, headaches trying to learn how. But in the beginning, as far as anybody wanting to learn by themselves, you just got to keep getting on your board and paddling back out and never turn your back on the ocean. That is one thing I learned a long time ago. Is never turn your back on the ocean. Okay? It'll get you when you least expect it. And the ocean's alive. It'll teach you everything you want to know. You go out there with all kinds of questions in your mind, and the waves will slap you around or teach you the right direction. And basically, it all is, you know, it's a very learning experience, surfing. People don't believe in God. I tell you what, let me paddle them out 12-foot pipeline and they will become a believer. I kid you not. But yeah.
It's an easy way for them to believe in the existence of God, right? That saves their life.
Yeah, exactly. It'll definitely reinforce your faith.
And, you know, like you were saying, okay, having fun is the most important thing. But do you think that people are still having fun? Because a lot of people, they not really have fun while surfing. Well, it shouldn't be like that. They bring their stress.
Surfing for the wrong reason.
Yeah. So how has it changed? Because I think at the time you were surfing, you know, those competitive years, a lot of people had a lot of fun, right? Is it at something?
You know what? It was more of a cult. It's a religion. I mean, once you're into it, it just captivates you, especially living on the North Shore. I used to come out here in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. and just sit in and meditate and watch the surf at night. At night, the waves are better than any time of the day. And just sit there in the full moon and just concentrate on the pipeline and sit there and just watch with awe and perfect waves at night, you know, in a full moon. It's part of my life. It's more than I thought it would be in the long run, how much an important role in my life it's played being a surfer. In fact, I really wanted to go one more time out here I'm getting better in shape. I just had triple bypass surgery last year,
Oh, wow.
had an implant, and just been dealing with a bunch of health problems. But I'm getting better and better every day, and just hanging out here and hanging out with all these server guys, man. I'm getting my blood stirred. I got a bunch of boards I was shaping today. So I'm making Jack Robinson aboard and Balaram aboard here at
Nice.
the Fulcrum crew. So life's looking good. Life's looking good, man. I'm glad I
Very.
got to hook up with you. We can do this more often.
Oh, well, with
I'll be
great
running
pleasure.
around.
With great pleasure.
I'll get a bunch of pictures of something to show next time or some movies.
Ah, that will be great. That will be great.
I've been looking at the surfnetwork.com and they got all the old surf movies. And I
Ah,
didn't realize I was in so many of them, man. And so I'm trying to put together a collage of
of,
all the different movies. That's
of
what Jerry
course.
told me one time. He goes, "Hey, go watch yourself surfing and get excited again. Get in
Of
the
course.
water.
Of
Go watch
course.
yourself surf. You'll get stoked."
Of course, but don't spend all the time on the TV. Just also go out there, right? So that's the
That's
important
right. I
thing.
know
Is
it's
to
tough hanging out here.
Yeah, I know. And do you consider, like everybody consider yourself and refer to you like a legend? Do you consider yourself a legend?
No, I'm alive. I'm just me. I'm just Rory. Like I said, I didn't do anything on purpose. I didn't try to be champion or anything. I just played in my backyard. Got good at it.
You know,
I guess because I was having so much fun.
you gave me the same answer that Greg Knoll gave to me 2 years ago. He told me, Alessandro, we were just a bunch of guys having peanut butter sandwiches on the beach and then going to surf. We didn't mean to be legend. We don't want to be legend. We were just
Yeah,
like, and actually, you gave me the same answer by coincidence. And I think it was those years, right? A bunch of friends all together,
that's
just
it.
chat.
And, and that's because there weren't that many of us. There weren't leg ropes. And the money, once the leg ropes and the surf contest came into money, everything went to shit. Seriously. The leg ropes made more people in the water, and the surf contest, the money brought people over for one reason. That's to get rich. And getting rich off surfing ain't what it's all about.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah.
never make money at surfing.
Not that
It's
easy, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
what?
It's more of a spiritual thing than it is a monetary
Yeah,
thing. But if you follow it and you believe, you'll make money. Like the surf lessons, that's a really good thing. People get so excited after they stand up their first wave. It's incredible.
mm,
I mean, incredible. You'll never see a smile like a person's first wave. And everybody I
definitely.
take out stands up. They all stand up. They don't stand up again. It's cold and dark out there, and there's lots of sharks.
Yeah. So they
So
have
you better
another
stand up so you
motivation.
go in.
They have additional
Psychological.
motivation. And paddle out and never turn the back to the ocean, right? We need to clarify because otherwise it's a big deal. And what does it take to be a pipeline champion? You've been twice pipeline champion, pipeline master
Yeah.
champion, right? What does it take? What did it take at that time, those years when you won, and today? Is the same or something has changed?
Well, you know what? The thing is, I had a chance to serve it so many times by myself because nobody lived on the North Shore. It was just me and this other friend of mine who had his dad owned a steel company in Honolulu and went to school in a helicopter and got dropped off on the beach with me. And then we drive around looking for the best waves. And basically, we were the only two young guys from my age group, like about 4 or 5 years younger than Hackman and Jerry and Joey Cabell and all those guys. So we were the next generation that grew up out here. We were just North Shore boys originally. There's nobody else around except us. And my mom was a teacher at my high school, which was really good.
Okay.
And so she said, as long as I'm on the honor roll, I could stay home 2 days a month to go surfing, which was really good. So as long as I did, and school was real easy for me. So I got a lot of surfing. And plus we miss lunch and surf and then go back to school with our hair wet and, and sand in our hair. And yeah, so it was like just part of life growing up out here. We just go to the surf, take the surf, then go do what we had to do, and then go back to the surf. And my mom lived on the beach at Chun's, and Chun's is probably the most consistent wave around. So we were always surfing.
So today, being a champion of Pipeline Master, do you think is that any different from those years when you were surfing, or is still the same?
The talent is incredible. Nowadays, there's so much talent that this talent of surfing is not decreasing at all. I mean, there are just thousands of kids that could be number one at any time. I'm serious. There's kids that are so good nowadays. You can't keep up with them. There's too many. You can't name them all. And they just get better and better and better. It's unbelievable. The turnover in kids. And from Jack Robinson all the way to Iago Dora to, God, I watch YouTube all the time, and Stab Magazine always has all these different shows that profile different people. And it's astounding how many surfers there are all over the world, man.
Yeah.
When I went to Milan, Italy to sign autographs. That's insane. And talking to you in Dubai about surfing is something that's way beyond what my mom and dad would have ever thought. Put it that way. My dad was a highly decorated army officer, fought in 3 wars, was a diplomat in Argentina and Ethiopia. And so I was completely a different career choice, obviously, like career military to career surfer.
Yeah.
That's probably why my dad never made general, is because of me. But you never can tell. But yeah, he wasn't around that much. He was always out fighting wars, and so it's just me and my mom basically. Okay. And I lived next door to Jock Sutherland, which was just a bonus because of all his surfboards. And his brother was my best friend. We're the same age. And so Jocko basically just let us use any of his boards that he wanted. He went in the Army for 2 years and just left his boards there. It was like, yahoo!
Yay! That was
Sutherland boards. Yeah, they were made for the pipe. So that's my first big breakthrough out here was on one of Jock's boards that I borrowed, a 710 Plastic Fantastic, shaped by Danny Callahan. Went out the outside pack. It was a 710, so a lot of easy paddling. Got in early, made my mark on the lineup. From then on, it was move over, everybody. Here I am. But I took my lickings, growing up out here. You learn respect, growing up with the locals. It's a lot different now than it was back then.
Yeah.
I think the hostility is more now than it was then because nobody knew who anybody was back then. And now it's just like there's just a lot of foreigners and everybody's confused about the little cliques, of groups of guys. And it gets pretty ugly sometimes out here, which is a shame. But
because everybody wants to prove themselves at the pipeline and maybe they don't respect the rules, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's always 1 or 2 guys that are just going to go out there just to go back home and say they paddled out and caught away with the pipeline, whether they got creamed or not. There's a lot of guys that shouldn't be out there at all, unfortunately. But nowadays, man, you got these little kids like Dennis Pang's kid. And who else? These Tahitian boys, the Tahitian teams here. I just met a couple of those guys, and those guys are gnarly, man. The Chopu is insane, man. Yeah. There's no doubt I would have loved to have surfed it back then. If it was there for me, I would have loved it, But these guys are incredible. The YouTube footage of these boys.
Yeah, I
really
saw.
Neat.
It's amazing, huh? Wow, what they do.
And oh God, and this kid Iago Dora looks like he has more fun than anybody else on the planet when he surfs. He's out there surfing now on a foam board with no fins.
Amazing, crazy. It's like a spinning. He's like a record player,
Yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah, the things that kids do nowadays, the aerials are just unbelievable. I could never conceive of that back then, of flying through the air like that and just spinning in the air. Just to me, blows my mind. Before, when they were just starting to do it, it was intriguing, but now it's just like getting out of bed for these guys. They just hit the lip and just fucking spin in the air and just land on the face. Unbelievable. It really is exciting.
But you see, one thing that they all want is that they want a board shaped by you at the end. They do all this spinning and whatever, but they go back to the classic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's true. That's true. If it works, don't change it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, how does it work with you and shaping these days? Like you still shaping, of course, lightning bolt, right?
Yeah.
And
I wish I was in my shaving room now. I'd show you all the boards I made today and yesterday.
wow.
I made 2 boards for Kalani Chapman.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's one of those guys that he's kind of undercover, and never gets any benefits. He doesn't get all the glory and everything, So I said, here's a couple boards, kid. Go do it. Get out there.
And I guess it makes you very proud if when they surf your boards, right?
Yes, it does. Like having a kid.
Exactly. It's like, you're surfing with them in a certain way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, there's only one thing better than getting a new board, and that's giving a new board.
Okay. Well, that's very generous. Yeah, of
you
course.
You can me on that one.
Of course. And
yeah.
What in your opinion, if I ask you what is the most important thing in shaping, what would you answer?
If you can surf, the shaper can surf. It's really important that a shaper knows how to surf, so he knows what to do with the board. Like all those guys, they're all good surfers. Arakawa and that whole crew from Hawaii, Pang and all those guys. Those guys are all surfing with me when I was growing up, surfing at Chun's and Lani Ake and Haleiwa. And their ability in surfing reflects on their surfboard shaping. That's why their boards, and Paisel, that's why their boards work so well, because they're good surfers. You wouldn't buy a car made by somebody who can't drive.
No, of course. You want somebody that knows about it, right?
The main thing is knowing that your shaper is a good surfer, and he can basically transform what you want or your ideas into his past experience. The boards I'm coming up with now are pretty neat, man. They've got like a bow. They've got a bow nose in them, like the front of a boat. I was a merchant marine officer for a couple of years. Captain Rory Russell at your service. They were going to let me drive a 50-ton boat.
Why not?
No. But anyhow, the front of a boat isn't like a barge, and all the little hot dog boards nowadays are just push water. So basically what I did is just put a beak underneath, a V bottom, like the front of a boat, a bow of a boat, and it catch waves so much easier because it breaks the water. Instead of pushing water, it breaks the water apart. So it catch waves. It's a lot easier. And these kids are tearing it up. I got this one kid, Eli Olson, his half brother, who's like 16 now. And the kid shreds, man. Eli shreds. His little brother really shreds. And he's the only guy I got on my lightning bolt team right now. But he's also the class president at my old high school, which is incredible.
Okay.
He's got brain. I tell you what, a lot of the great surfers are really smart. They know how to read a wave and when to duck.
Of course,
not to duck.
It's not only intuition, right? It's just like you need to prepare yourself these days. In your life, you met a lot of surfers. Most were like famous, some were not famous. Was there a meeting that was particularly meaningful for you?
Oh man, there's Earl Dolan and this guy Paul Lochran. Paul Lochran was a goofy foot, and he surfed Chun's Reefa and Haleiwa a lot with me. And he was really, really a smooth surfer. I mean, as smooth as Jerry was. He didn't surf pipeline that much. He was about 4 or 5 years older than I was. But he was a fire captain, became a fire chief eventually. And I surfed with him a lot when I was a kid, and he was just really smooth backside. And then there was Earl Dolland, who was like the leader of the Haleiwa boys. And the Haleiwa Surfing Association was the first surf club I entered that I was invited on. And that was run by Earl Dolland. And Earl Dolland used to come and pick us up wherever we were, a bunch of us kids, then take us surfing at Chund or take us surfing at Haleiwa or Laniakea. But he was a very big influence on me riding big waves. Everybody in Haleiwa knows him. He helped running all the Haleiwa surf contests for Mavo, the Japanese surf company. And then of course after I was hanging out with these guys from Wahiwa. Girl was from Haleiwa. I moved in next door to Jock Sutherland, so I was right there at Chund's Reef all the time. And I would say that out of all of them, Paul Loughran was a real big influence on my surfing, and he encouraged me a lot. And then I moved in next door to Jock, so obviously Jocko and I were, Jocko just tortured me to death growing up. I got to use this board, but boy, him and Jerry used to just torture me in the water. They just picked on me, but it was good. It made me better, it made me stronger. But it was funny. They'd stuff me all the time, or steal my waves all the time. And then I got bigger.
and then you stole from them, right? You took all the waves yourself.
And karma's a bitch.
Karma is a bitch. Yeah, I agree. And what was the best wave, the most memorable wave you ever surfed?
There's a couple. There's like 3 or 4 of them that when I kicked out of the wave, the people paddling out said, "You will never do that again." Once at Ala Moana, once at Padang, and once at Laniakea. Wow. And there was another one somewhere, but they were just, there's no way I'm going to make this. Then all of a sudden it's daylight. You're just shaking your head. There is a God.
Yes, we go back to that, right? There is God that is helping.
Yeah, there was just some that was no way in the world I should have made them. Cool. But I did. And people saw it. That's a good thing.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what else? You know what else is very interesting is they never get your best waves. They always miss your best wave. And it's just seriously, it's one of those things where it's just for your own self-satisfaction. And it's like God teasing you, saying, "Here's how good you are, but nobody knows."
Oh my God! Yes, it's an opportunity. But again, the surf is for ourselves first, right? But,
that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
There were times out here when I'd surf by myself. One time I showed up, it was just a little bit of rain, and it was like 6 to 8 feet. Nobody was out, and it was just, the sand was perfect. And I caught one wave and rode it so far, I started to paddle back out, and I went, "There's no way I'm going to top that. Every other way we're going to ride now is just going to be all downhill." I go, "There's no way." And then and nobody was around. And then about 20 years later, this kid was at the department store, and he goes, "Hey, are you Rory Russell?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Man, one time my buddy and I went to the pipeline to go surfing, and you were the only guy out, and you caught a wave that was 2 telephone pole lengths. 2 telephone poles, we were in the barrel." And he goes, "We drink beer and we go out, we look at the telephone poles, we go, wow, man, for real, he was in the tube that long." And I said, "Did I go in afterwards?" They said, "Yep, you just got that one wave and then left." Said, what else can you do? There's no way I was going to top that. There's no way.
Exactly.
And that was insane.
At least they saw it, right? So
it's amazing how big surfing is. I met this girl from Russia the other day, and she told her friend in Moscow, who's an artist, who's about 28 years old or something, that she was with Rory Russell. And the guy couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the fact that he knew of me, that he knew about me. And so we called him up and left a video for this poor Russian guy who woke up hungover. And there I am giving him a video aloha. And he's just shaking his head going, but the fact that some guy in Russia, in Moscow, knows who I am and has blown away that I called him is incredible. I mean, that's how small surfing is. It's insane.
Or
insane.
Or how big you are, because at the end you are very humble, and you're saying like, okay, I'm not a legend or whatever, but in reality, like you represent one of the most look after icons of surf. Like you, Jerry.
I did a lot of first time stuff like Costa Rica and Pavonis. This friend of mine bought that property back in like 1976 or something. And we'd go down there and surf Pavonis by ourselves for a month at a time and just live on this guy's ranch with no surfers there. Now there's 100 guys out. And just like when Jerry and I went to Bali for the first time in 1974, it was a real heavy crowd. Me and Jerry Lopez.
Yeah, only two. But heavy in terms of importance, right?
That's it.
And nobody said.
I went to Puerto Escondido with Surfing Magazine in 78 before Puerto got real big. And then this friend of mine lived on Maui. I used to go stay with him, and he kept going to place towards, up the coast. It's called the Atomic Blast. And we'd stay up all night, check this place in the morning, and it'd be a perfect right and left. And it looked like it was 8 feet or something, but perfect waves. And one time I actually took my board and I started to take my board off the car. And then I realized that it wasn't 8 to 10 feet. It was like 15 to 20 feet.
Wow.
And we called it the Atomic Blast, but now they call it Jaws.
Okay.
I was the first guy who was going to try and surf Jaws after staying up all night and drinking. Yeah, right.
Wow.
But it was incredible because he kept going. Yeah, man, you got to. We went down there about 4 or 5 times just as the sun came up, and it would just be perfect. But nobody around, and just you couldn't do it back then. No leg ropes, I just went, you're out of your mind. I faked it like I wanted to go out. But yeah, the Atomic Blast turned into Jaws.
Oh my God, that's a nice story.
Unbelievable.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
We're going to finish this interview, but I'm sure we're going to hang out again, me and you, because I think you have a lot to tell, with a short Q&A session, question and answer. I ask everyone on this show, please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind, okay?
Okay.
The best surfboard that you ever ridden?
Wiley Arbin. His friend of Terry and I, Wiley Arbin, made a magic. But see, I'm being biased because I'm not including the boards I made for myself afterwards. But as far as the best board I've ever had that I didn't make was from this guy, Wiley Armin. This thing was just magic. Okay. It was unreal. And then Jerry, too. Jerry's boards were unreal. Jerry's boards were fabulous. In fact, my boards are basically his boards, He just went, here's how you do it. I'm tired of you breaking them all. Make your own board.
Way better, right? In addition to you, who is your favorite shaper of all time?
Jerry
Lopez,
yeah, for sure.
Of course. Personal question, your favorite song or kind of music? What you like to hear?
I like so much music. I like dance music. I like disco music. I like rock and roll. I like Rolling Stones. I like surf music. Santana's in every surf movie that was ever made, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yes, it is. Santana and Hendrix, most probably, right? So,
yeah.
And I know the answer of this question, but I have to ask, what is your favorite surf spot?
Malaya.
Okay.
On Maui. And I had a chance when I went to stay with my friend on Maui with the Jaws thing. Malaya got all time like 6 to 8 feet a couple times, which it very seldom does. And I had just a little 6-foot board that Jerry made to just take off regular foot and just stay in the tube the whole way. The most unbelievable wave you've ever seen in your life. In fact, it just went off again this last summer. And everybody goes, "What's up?" I said, "You should go to Maui. You should go to Maui." And the people that did just blew their minds. If you see this latest Maui footage, it's like a hallucination, like you're on acid.
Wow.
The wave is like, seriously, it's just like, you can't believe it. And it's a perfect speed for your surfboard, man. You just stand. I didn't ride one wave goopy foot. You couldn't. If you tried to stand up goopy foot, it just went right by you. Jerry never surfs there. Jerry doesn't like Aloha because it's just too hard backside. Back then, it's just regular foot, go as fast as you can. Malaya and Padang in Bali. We took Walter Hopp in there, Nathan's grandfather, who's been surfing since God created waves. And the first day I took him out, he was really hesitant. He had 2 leg ropes tied together. He had his 11-foot board. And he was there. I said, "Walter, would Jerry and I ever steer you wrong? Let's go." So he followed me out. We came in. He goes, "That was the second best surf I've ever had since Makaha Point in 1958.
Wow. Okay, that means something.
The next day it was even better. And he came in and said, "Best surf session ever. Best waves ever seen." And the local kids thought he was the best guy in the water because he was like 70 years old or 68 years old and just standing straight up like a statue. They were going, "You guys are all jumping around this and that." He's down there like a statue. Very bold, very brave.
Oh my God. Amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
And who's your favorite surfer of all time?
I'm still up in the air on that. There's so many good ones. Jerry, who's your favorite to surf with, or who do I like to watch?
That's a good question. Like, who do you like? Who's your favorite surfer at Pipeline? Let's put this one.
Jerry's the man.
Jerry.
Okay. He's very pretty, man. He knows what he's doing. He's smart. I mean, Jerry's really, really smart.
The last question I ask everyone on the show. I don't ask me why I'm asking, because now after 150 episodes, I have to ask everybody. I asked even Greg Noll a couple of years ago. Has nothing to do with surf. I want to know your best relationship advice.
Best relationship advice.
Yes, it's like something that I ask. It can be romantic, or it can be friendship. It can be anything.
Be patient. Be patient. It don't mean a thing.
Yeah. Be patient is also
Alejandro.
It's good at the Pipeline as well. But thank you so much for your time today.
You're the second Alejandro I met today. The other one was Yagadora's dad.
Okay.
Alejandro.
Wow.
Here. Hey, well, listen, it was a pleasure, and we'll get back together again.
Of course. Thank you so much.
We'll do
Mahalo.
the sleeping room.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!